Good morning, Facebook. Again, we're going to try this one more time. This is take three, but we're going to cut you guys some slack and basically refresh where we've been, see if we can't regenerate our previous audience. And we know we've upset you guys. So, welcome to this week's episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I'm Adam Smith with the Core Finance Group. With me, as always, is Kelly Dingens, our marketing director here. And this week's guest is Agent Nick Bukowski. Nick, thank you so much for being on the show with us. Hopefully, we can get through some of these technical issues. David, Camille, Tom, good morning. Hi, David. Good morning. So we did have a few technical issues getting started this morning, and for those of you that were watching, we did ask Nick to give us a little bit of background on him, his work life. We did discuss a little bit about his company and how that came to pass. And Nick, if you don't mind giving us just a reiteration, another recap of that stuff, I think our audience would really appreciate it.
Sure, no, happy to. Like I said earlier, thanks a lot to you and Kelly for both having me on your show. Sorry Diana wasn't able to make it, but yeah, so I am in my fourth year of being a real estate agent at Equity Colorado. It's my full-time job, and I was actually blessed the last 3 years in a row to be one of the top producers within Equity Real Estate. So super blessed to have that honor. And my other full-time job, as if I'm not busy enough with real estate, is I'm a lieutenant with Loveland Fire Rescue Authority. So get to do pretty cool, two rewarding jobs, and help people out in different aspects of their life. So
That is a big deal. Tell us a little more about both of those gigs, how your relationship with your real estate company came to pass, and what does your workload look like with the fire department?
Sure. So they're both obviously very time intensive careers. So luckily for me, I have a very understanding and supportive wife who puts up with it. So with that being said, the fire department, I've been doing firefighting for 15 years now, and as I said, real estate for 4 years. Uh, Balancing those careers is always a juggling act, especially when I'm on shift for 24 hours at a time. I'm able to utilize my team member, Diana Bartlett. We started our own team about 13 months ago with Equity, the Bukowski Bartlett team. And she's able to field all the phone calls, show properties, answer questions if I'm tied up at the fire department on an emergency or incident. So with that, I mean, I started in the fire service career. It was something that numerous people in my family had done, and it was cool to see how they can impact people's lives. On someone's worst day, they're calling you, they're calling 911 to come help them out in any aspect that you could possibly think of. And how that translates over to real estate is I started doing real estate investing, and it was like, well, rather than using an agent all the time and relying on them to provide me with up-to-date information, I'm just going to do it myself. And I obviously fell in love with it. And it's cool because real estate allows me to help other people and provide value in a different aspect of their life than the fire service. So if someone's calling you on a bad day at the fire department needing help, while someone else is calling you for the biggest investment that they're ever going to make, or to find their family a house that they desperately need, or sell their home and take some equity out. So it's cool. I think, Adam, I'm sure we'll probably talk a lot about this, but really what it comes down to is adding value to people's lives. And so that's kind of just a brief recap on both of my careers and why I love each one of them.
Nick, there's a pretty broad spectrum there. I mean, don't get me wrong, but you're seeing people on the worst day of their life and on the
Right.
best day of their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it ever happen that it occurs on the same day? You have to fight a four alarm, and I don't know what that means because I don't have any firefighting skills or background. While later in the day, or vice versa, that somebody closed on their new home. I mean, are you seeing those kinds of things in the same day?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get off shift in the morning and run, 8 calls, 10 calls, and help people out on those terrible situations, and then couple hours later, I'm at the closing table with a family who's either buying their first home or they're selling their property that they loaned for a few years and made some great equity on it. Or just this morning, I had a structure fire at 4:15 this morning, and now at 10 o'clock, I get to sit and Zoom in with you and Kelly and talk about real estate. So
Wow.
That's the cool thing about both careers is firefighting, you never know what you're going to have when you show up to work, and same thing with real estate. There's always something that pops up during a real estate transaction, no matter how incredible your lender is, like you, or any part of the process. Something unforeseen is always going to come up in real estate, and I think you prepare yourself for that by training and experiences, and again, putting your client first and adding that value to them to take care of them.
Yeah, and that's funny. We talk a lot about how real estate agents and mortgage lenders are firefighters, jokingly, and I hate to use that jokingly now, considering what you might see on any given day or even what you've seen today. But yeah, we obviously spend a lot of time, your line of work, my line of work, in putting out fires that our buyers and borrowers never see, that sellers never see. It's really kind of interesting stuff that way. That's really cool that you mention that. All right, so let's go back a bit and talk more about your real estate stuff, because I'm curious. Tell me about how you and Diana formed your partnership and why.
Sure. So, like I said, we formed our partnership about 13 months ago. So we just kind of broke our 1 year anniversary, and which was actually pretty cool. We bought all our clients, our past clients and present clients, tickets to the Colorado Eagles game. So we rented out a section. I think we had around 90 people there. So we just had a big client appreciation event last weekend, and we appreciate everyone who came out to that if you are listening. So the reason we developed a team is obviously there's some time constraints once in a while with the fire department. So having someone that believed in the same thing I did, had the same values, principles, work ethic as me was important to find, and I was able to connect with Diana. She also worked for Equity Real Estate previously, and we just had a sit down meeting on what our vision was for what a team would eventually look like, and partnered up. So we do a lot of community involvement. We support the Special Olympics teams. We support local schools and nonprofit organizations. So we try to be involved on multiple levels. But I think the biggest thing for anyone out there who is in the business looking at forming a team, I think the biggest piece is making sure that you're getting into the team with someone who has the same morals, ethics, and work ethic and values as you do. Because I have been part of teams who they don't have that same values and same vision on where you're going to go, and it usually doesn't work out too well. So.
Okay, and don't get me wrong, I do agree. I think that there is some synonymity in those kinds of principles and beliefs that have to occur within a team in order for it to operate properly. I think I have that here with Kelly, certainly, and I have this amazing support staff in the background that a lot of our colleagues don't get to see, although obviously a lot of our clients and close referral partners do, with a transaction team. Erica and Mindy are amazing. Our office manager, Brandy, our processors, on and on. So I get that. But I do think that there's also something to be said for some complementary qualities. There are things that Diana's good at that you're not. Her accounting background obviously is significant. So are there some other things where the two of you are, essentially opposites? And it's not just these big picture items like, a work ethic where you've got to be symbiotic, where you've got to have that synonymity, but are there things where you guys definitely do things very differently and that plays well to how you're dealing with your clients, your business, your lead generation, those kinds of things?
Yeah, absolutely. Just geographically, she's a subject matter expert or area expert in the North Denver area. Like we talked about, we cover from North Denver and Arvada, Golden, all the way up to Wellington and Nunn up north. So that's her kind of area of expertise. I don't in the northern Colorado area. And I think just geographically we balance each other out. I think also, to your point, there are different strengths. Her accounting background, she's very organized, and everything needs to be lined out and have a plan in place, versus for me, I kind of figure it out as I go, so to speak, as far as for example, this interview this morning, kind of open-ended discussion, right? Versus she'd probably like to have a little bit more of a plan in place and line items. But that comes in huge when it comes to paperwork and making sure forms are getting filled out properly and in time. So yeah, definitely balance each other out. I think when you're looking at team members, you do want people that will complement your weaknesses with their strengths and vice versa.
Very cool. And of course, obviously, a lot of the subject matter, a lot of what our audience wants to see is how the core finance group does its lead generation, how our guests do their lead generation, where your business comes from, what you focus on, those kinds of things. Normally, we would ask our guests to give us some kind of background of how did your previous year go? What was that like? What do you foresee for the future? But if you don't mind, I'd like to go back even a little further and talk about what you were doing in the year before you and Diana partnered up, what you guys did in that first year or so as partners, and what you guys see going forward for how you interact with your clients, how you generate more clients, how you get involved with the community to do that kind of stuff. So if you would give us some significant history about your lead gen and then what you guys see going forward, we'd love to hear it, and I know our audience would.
Sure, absolutely. So the year prior to Diane and I joining, I wish she could tell you her numbers, but off the top of my head on her side, I think I did roughly $7 million in sales the year leading up to our team, and I think she probably did around 2 or 3. And then we joined teams, or we joined and created this team last year. 2018 was the first full year, as I said, and I did 9 million in sales, and she did it probably 3 or 4. So obviously increased the performance on both of our ends. And what that translates to is not just a monetary number, but obviously we're able to impact more people and serve our clients and our customers much better. Where I see that going in the future, we've talked about most recently talked about opening up an office, a branch of Equity in the Loveland area, since we don't have a branch up here. So that is in the near future, opening up a branch up here and starting to expand our team, get more agents that again have those same common core beliefs, as well as those complements of the areas of weakness with each other too.
Well, that's certainly a big deal, having a hyper-local office, which makes me think that a lot of what you're doing in the 7, 9, hopefully $12 million in volume this year is somewhat hyper-localized, that you're really drilling down on your neighborhood, your community, certainly the people that you're protecting through your work as a firefighter. So is that true? Does your lead gen scope include some hyper-local type of content?
Yeah, absolutely. So we focus mostly on organic leads. We've tried spending a lot of money on Zillow and other lead generations like that. And yeah, you laugh when we mention Zillow, right? I think most people probably listening to this webcast would probably do the same. So we've tried spending a bunch of money on Zillow, and you'll have multiple phone calls a day from different lead companies saying that they're going to get you more business and stuff like that. We really try to focus on that organic growth, focusing on the people we do know and the relationships we have with friends and family and acquaintances, and really just connecting with them and like I said, providing that value versus going out and trying to grab someone who's moving here from California randomly online. We like to have those connections with people already established and just further that relationship. So a lot of our business does come from firefighters or firefighters' families, or for example, my parents own a couple local businesses here, so their word of mouth to their clients, gets spread around. Same with Diana, being involved with her school. She has 3 young kids, and she's always involved, whether it's sports or events at the school. So she has that connection with other parents at the schools as well.
That's a big deal. So for those of you listening, that kind of community involvement generates repeat and referral business. And yes, Nick, of course, we're all going to give a good chuckle about not wanting to participate with Zillow, and I think you're right. I think the majority of our audience would feel that way as well. It's caused significant pangs for us watching your industry fund its own demise. So I get it. The good news is, guys, that you're watching, that's going to be a long, long time down the road. But yeah, there are better ways. There are more entertaining ways. There are more fun ways. There are more personal connection ways to generate leads, to generate repeat and referral business without having to throw good money after bad, whether it's Zillow or Realtor.com or all manner of other internet leads. And I know that you guys as real estate agents are just bombarded with noise about this advertising and this marketing and these mailers and this grocery cart and these leads and on and on. So yeah, you guys have got to tune that noise out and really focus on your tribe, your community, your marketplace, your being a firefighter. That's part of your tribe, and it generates good real estate business. Your kid's school, that's part of your tribe. Diana, I'm sure you'll see this either later in the day or subsequently later in the week. And yeah, you've got to find your tribe. You've got to be in a position where you can let people know what you're about, not just what you do, so that you can attract other like-minded individuals, repel the ones that aren't and that you don't want to work with, and make sure that you're nurturing that. And then, Nick, tell us, once that wheel is set into motion, your hyper-local activity, your firefighting activity, your parents' businesses activity, Diana's school-related activity, how does that spawn into repeat and referral business from those relationships you built in 2018, for example? What do you guys do to continue to nurture that?
Sure. So I think obviously, as we've talked about, adding value to people, and I know that's kind of a broad blanket statement, but for example, one of my good buddies just made me think of this. One of my good buddies just got back from Las Vegas, and he was staying at this hotel, and he wanted to go find the workout room. And he asked the lady at the front desk, what's the quickest way to get there? And she just said, oh, it's down the hall, take a right, hang a left, and go up to the 4th floor. And he got lost, ended up not trying to find it. If any of you have been to Vegas, it's easy to get lost in those places. And he ended up walking down this hallway, ran into a janitor, and he asked the janitor, hey, man, I'm just trying to find the workout center. Can you please tell me where it's at? And he's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Set his stuff down, walked my buddy all the way down the hall into the elevator, took him up to the 4th floor, showed him exactly where it was at. And I just use that quick little example just because that's adding value to people. I think people just use a blanket statement too often, a very obscure way to add value to people. And I think you have to make them a priority. You have to give some market insight, knowledge, be available to them when they need you. Again, going back to people are making one of the largest investments that they ever will. They need to know that they're backed by you. You're going to help them through every step of the process. And that's really, I think, to get that repeat business and to get a good referral. It's more than just that. It's obviously taking care of your client and getting them to the closing table, and then following up on Facebook and seeing photos of them happy in their houses. That hard work of, sometimes you're at dinner and you have to step away and answer your phone for 30 minutes, or, working on a weekend, all that kind of stuff plays into providing that value and making that experience a positive one, and one that they're going to talk about and enjoy whenever they think about the day they closed on their house or sold their house.
That's brilliant. So from a technical and tactical standpoint, what does that mean? What are you doing post-closing to ensure that your past clients are not someone else's prospects?
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge, to stay in touch with people. And again, I think there has to be some genuineness that comes along with this, not just following up with people just to check mark the box and move on. Oh, I called them a week later. I called them a month later. But truly, again, like you said, being involved with people, truly wanting to know, hey, how's are you guys settled in a month later? how's that going? Do you guys have any questions on anything? So I think follow up with them with a genuine and sincere and passionate follow up, not just a checkbox. I think that is huge. We do mailers, we do some direct marketing. As I said, we try to do volunteer service, donate money to good causes. A lot of our clients are obviously, everyone has a passion or something they're involved with. So supporting those causes, looking for opportunities to donate time or money to whatever is important to them. And I think you just, again, really care about people and care about relationships, and that's going to guide you and lead you into staying connected with your clients.
Okay. So some direct mail stuff to generate new business.
Right.
Some good contact management, past clients to try and maintain repeat and referral business. And for those of you that are watching or subsequently listening, this is important stuff. When we go through coaching with a real estate agent, or loan originator, we talk about the fact that you could double your business next year by doing those two things that Nick is actually describing. If you continue down your normal organic path, and let's say, whoever you are watching, you closed 10 deals last year. And we'll make this the subject of our weekly video blog probably next week. If you keep doing whatever it is you did last year, you should, in theory, generate another 10 closings next year. Whatever worked for you in 18 to generate 10 deals should work for you. A little tweaking in 19 to do 10 deals. And if you are really sincere about those 10 deals you closed in 2018, you only need each of them to refer you one more person over the course of an entire year, and you've doubled your production. So you guys have got to understand that this has got to be a twofold type of environment. You've got to attract new business, and you've got to nurture the client database that you already have. You have to take good care of them. You've got to be in communication with them. I can't remember what the NAR statistic is, but something like 80% of home buyers or sellers can't even remember who their agent was. And if you fall in that 80%, Nick, I know you don't, but for those of you watching, if you fall in that 80%, shame on you, because those past clients that you're not in touch with are now Nick's prospects. So good on you, Nick. You'll pick up some of their clients.
There you go. And if I could just add one quick thing, Adam, too, is the following up with the clients and contact management. If you do that organically and you're getting business from people that you know that already established that trust with you and that relationship and that friendship with you, it's easier to do the follow up because you're already keeping in touch with those people anyway, versus a random lead from Zillow or you're trying to always get new leads rather than that organic relationship. I think it makes the follow up and that long-term care much more difficult, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking the difference between, cold calling and referral business.
Yep.
I mean, there's a chasm between how that relationship looks between agent and buyer, the mortgage originator and borrower. No question. It's night and day kind of stuff. So for those of you watching, really sharpen your pencil when you're taking notes about that, because Nick is spot on about it. All right, so Nick, tell us what 2019 going forward is going to look like for you and Diana. I mean, we're going to have a new office. Obviously, we're going to promote the hell out of that. How does that look?
Right. So 2019 moving forward, again, I mean, just doing the stuff that has worked for us in the past, and then obviously just leveling up. What I mean by that is just putting in more effort than we do, which is I think we do an outstanding job of taking care of our clients and putting 100% of our effort and time and energy into making sure they're taken care of. But just continuing to further that, there's always room for improvement, no matter what you do in life, whether it's your marriage, your kids, your friendships, your family, whatever. So I think always striving for that next level, without getting into too many details. I think we have numbers that we want to hit, and it's bigger. Again, it's bigger than just numbers. It's about really caring about people, really caring about taking care of what their needs are, listening to them. And I think 2019 is going to be a good for us just with the relationships we've built over the last year as a team, and just that reputation, that branding. As you know, Adam, it takes a while to brand something that you start kind of from scratch. So just furthering that as well, and that name recognition, and networking with people such as yourself, who are obviously very good in the field and industry that they work in, whether that's lenders, appraisers, inspectors, whoever, title companies. I think it's, again, part of the success in this business, whether you're a lender or real estate agent, is surrounding yourself by people who are also successful and want to take care of other people, and they're doing it for the right reasons. That's the biggest thing.
I think it's one of the biggest things. So yeah, for those of you watching and listening, really all you got to do is take good care of people, and the rest will fall into place. You'll get paid. They'll refer more people for you to take care of. You'll get paid again. It snowballs from there. So yeah, Nick really hit the nail on the head there. All you got to do is take good care of people. It's pretty straightforward stuff. All right, so Nick, in our last few minutes here, let's talk a little bit about your real rubber to the road business. Who's the ideal client? How can they reach you? Tell us, direct this more at the consumer rather than at our normal audience, for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, there's a lot of consumerism viewership, a lot of consumer viewership in our weekly show. And really, I want for our audience to see, how does Nick approach, in essence, your elevator speech? What is it that you would want to get across in a mere couple of minutes time for